everybody. This is Artist Spotlight. Today we have Rashad Richardson of Madden Flow Entertainment. He's going to talk to us about music licensing and syncing. How you doing, Rashad?
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Thanks for being a guest with us, man.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Let's get into some questions for you, bro. Well, let's start off with the basics, man. Where you from, and what got you started in pursuing a career in music?
Yes, sir. So I'm from Richmond, Virginia. That's down south, and
Hmm.
naturally down south you got a lot of churches, a lot of black churches, and yeah, I just grew up, with my grandma being a pastor, and I was one of those kids where initially I was kind of twiddling my fingers in church, but I was always eyeing the music scene,
Hmm.
the music section, looking at how much fun they always laughing, always energetic. So
Right.
naturally, I picked up whatever instrument I could just to get in where I could fit in, and ultimately that led me to going to a magnet school. So a school that was centered around arts, like think like the Tupac High School, where everybody there arts, literature,
Yep.
kind of thing. I went to a school similar to that. From there, that led me to Berklee College of Music. And Berklee College of Music is where I started studying music business. And that's where I just decided to go full force with, from anything from music business to actually playing an instrument and to producing music as well.
So what kind of got gave you the decision to kind of because you're like licensing and placements, you're more on the business side of it now. Like what kind of made you want to go into that direction versus all creative?
Right. All right. So specifically licensing, I wanted to go gung ho in that when I did my first internship at a music publishing company.
Okay.
There was a music publishing company in New York. Well, actually, they've started in Germany and they got multiple spots in the U.S. It's called BMG Chrysalis.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, now I think it's just BMG.
Hmm.
But pretty much there, I interned in the A&R department, and within the A&R department, there was a TV film sync department.
Ah.
So yeah, with that sync department, I started to see some of the dope stuff kind of behind the scenes of just like how different songs end up on different TV shows, different commercials, and also by being in publishing, they do a job of getting different songs into different like the next Beyonce album or the next Akon album.
Hmm.
Like they try to work their artist songs into those records. So just seeing that and seeing how you can be at a company that advocates to plug your artist in. I always knew I wanted to kind of be on that boat because
Hmm.
now, boom, now you're not only helping an artist make money, but essentially you're becoming that artist friend as well because they like when they see your name, they gonna have good feelings.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
yeah.
Got you. So let's break down sync and licensing as it relates to music and songs, as far as film and television.
How it works, at least the flow that we have, basically you have an incoming brief that comes in where it's typically a music supervisor on a show or on a film that's in the works, and say they want a Lil Wayne song,
Hmm.
like say they want a Millie, for instance.
Hmm.
Millie is a great song, but with that being said, it's going to be an expensive song because you're using samples in there.
Right.
Um, you have a super producer, Bangladesh. You have a iconic rapper. So all that's going to equal, unless this is a big budget TV show or big budget commercial, you're not going to be able to pull that. So that's when you come to an agency like Madden Flow,
Hmm.
and and you say, hey, I want a song that emits that same feeling. I want aggressive rap, witty rap. I want the beat to bang. It has to be happy 808s, but I only have $2,000.
Right.
So right, so and you ain't getting a milli for $2,000, and so that's where we kind of come in. We search through our catalog. We already have agreements set up with our producers that are signed with us. Um, and just rights holders in general.
Hmm.
So therefore, in their catalog, we're bound to have some other songs that aren't a milli, but they might emit that same feeling that the executive wants for that scene. Because
Got
at
it.
the end of the day, you have your music supervisor, who's like the initial gatekeeper, who checks off on saying like, yeah, this song will be great and we can afford it. Let's go forward. But they don't even have the final stamp usually. Like it's still the executive producer that listens to the overall thing and is like, okay, this is it.
From a creative
And,
standpoint or a songwriter standpoint, like what's the potential for income, or can you something that you can actually make a living off of? Can you break down like how they're paid, how often, things like that?
Sure. So I want to say the biggest surprise when I talk to my songwriters and my producers is they think typically after you get a sync placement, you're getting a check the next week, the next day. Sync money is slow. It could potentially be big, but it's slow, especially to give you a scale. The smaller the project, the quicker you get paid. So if it's someone who is doing maybe an independent film, you can get paid almost maybe next week. But now we're talking to the point where you're working on an ABC show, CBS show, NBC Universal, that kind of thing. Man, even after it airs, it could take up to 90 days to get your payment. So say they
That's not
synced your
bad.
song.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not, but you got to keep in mind that most post-production happens maybe about 6 months, 6, 7 months before they actually air. So therefore they've already told you like, hey, we're using your song. We're going to pay you 6,000 or 10,000, something like that. Now you're waiting months for it to happen, and now it's aired, and you still may wait about 3 months to actually see that check come through. You definitely might have some people who feel like that's a bit slow,
Yeah.
and it moves slow. But so that's the timeline of it. As far as like the range of what you can typically get paid and how frequently you get paid, let's start with the range. I've seen independent films, man. I've seen people offer as low as like $100 to $200,
Oh, okay.
and it's to me as someone who is a creator and advocates on creators, it's not something I really entertain much unless I see potential, because the same way you have musicians who are working from the ground up, you have filmmakers who are working from the ground up with minimal budgets.
Right.
So I try to keep that in mind. As far as the high end of things, you could easily land a song in a Super Bowl ad, and now we're talking upwards of 50K just for the upfront. And I feel like one thing that I need to just establish too is when you get sync placement, you get paid in two forms. You get paid in your upfront sync licensing fee.
I was going to ask this. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and then you get paid in your sync royalties on the back end through
Right.
your PR. So, that's BMI, ASCAP, CSAC if you're in the States. So yeah, that being said, us personally and what I've seen in my career, thus far, the lowest I've seen a sync placement offered is 100, which even that I advocated to at least get it to 200.
Yeah.
Or we couldn't work.
Yeah.
And then the highest I've seen is around 50K that I've actually hands-on worked on. And yeah, so we talked about the timeline of getting paid. How long you might have to wait to get your check after a placement.
Yeah.
Another thing we should talk about is how frequent the opportunities come by.
Let's talk about that.
Yes, and that solely depends on your connections as an artist, and also who do you have like representing your catalog. Like, do you have a well-connected sync agency repping your catalog, or are you signed to a powerhouse publisher? Because if you're signed to someone like a Universal Music Publishing Group, a BMG, a Sony ATV, oh my goodness, they
feeding you stuff, right?
Right. It's like the amount of briefs that they get per day is ridiculous. But there's give and take though, because you have smaller sync agencies, independent sync agencies, who they might get less briefs, but they're more hands-on with their artists. They're more so keeping their artists privy as to like, hey, this show on ABC, they're working on a new series. I already listened to your music. I know you could be perfect for this.
Right.
And hey, you might not even have a song for this right now, but can you cook something up in
Yeah.
5 days?
Yeah. Yeah.
You are not gonna get that at a big, like a somewhere like a Universal Music Publishing, somewhere like just a powerhouse publishing.
Yeah.
Therefore, so the best way to describe it is maybe what smaller sync agencies do is liquid.
Hmm.
Bigger agencies are more solid. It's more so like, hey, do we already have this? Does this already exist in our catalog? Okay, we're sending that off. And if it doesn't exist, or better yet, this is only $1,000. Oh, that's chump change. That's chump change. We like smaller sync agencies. We're more so like, hey, I know this is $1,000, and I've seen bigger, but
It's a good look.
you want it?
It's
You
a
want
good
it
look.
because it's going to be a good look.
Yeah.
So you got that kind of situation where that's the give and take. But yeah, to answer your question altogether, is you could have an unlimited amount of sync briefs per day. It just depends on your connections and who you know, what's coming across the desk of the people you know, and what's coming across your desk personally. But just from experience of working at a bigger music publishing company in the sync licensing versus working at a smaller place, it is going to vary. And I've seen upwards of 15 sync briefs per day at a larger sync agency.
You said 15?
Yes, 15 per day, which that's a lot of potential money.
And a brief, I assume, means an opportunity from a show or whatever coming on.
Yes,
Okay.
and just to recap, a brief is more so like, hey, this is the scene. I'll go back to the Lil Wayne example. That was what a brief is called,
Gotcha.
where hey, we have $2,000. We need a song that emits the vibe of an Emily track.
What are you doing every day, or what kind of tools are you using? Are you on the internet every day? You on Facebook?
Yes. So at this point, I purely, as far as the briefs that come across my desk, they're purely from just my past jobs throughout my career and building personal relationships with people who are now music supervisors.
Mm-hmm.
Or, maybe this music supervisor has recommended our services to a friend of theirs who's a music supervisor. So yeah, once we get that, we're pretty much combing through our personal artist catalog. We try to take care of the artists that are signed to us first, because as you know, it might look crazy if we get a brief and land a pitch for this song from this artist that's outside of our catalog, when we had someone right here who signed to us, who had the capability of getting that sync placement. Mm-hmm. So we definitely, the number one thing we do is communicate with our artists first, which that is definitely a larger portion of the day, because we're all humans. We all like have other stuff. And in this day and age, almost everybody has at least 2 to 3 hustles. Mm-hmm. So that one artist who we have who might be great for this might already be in a songwriting session for another project that's happening. Anything in our next resource is going to my alumni network. I went to Berklee College of Music, and there are some monsters there. It's just a lot of ridiculously talented people who can play an instrument live, who've already been on tour with whoever you can think of, right, who also have matched their production skills up to the point where they can produce just as high as a level as they can be proficient on their instrument. So it's a nasty combination where if in my personal pool of our artist producers, they aren't able to come through, then yeah, Berklee Network's the next spot. And between those two, I'm usually good to go. And I should also mention there's a course called Catch the Moon Music that literally is like a boot camp for artists and songwriters who want to make their music more sync friendly. And
it's a course, that's a course for that, you said?
It's an online course. And when I say the people come out of there are nasty, they're good. So that's my third resource is I have pretty much a partnership where whenever they have like sync panels or whenever they want to do online courses, they hit me up. Mm-hmm. And it goes vice versa. When I have briefs that I feel like, man, somebody from Catch the Moon could probably kill this, then I reach out to that network as well.
Nice. That's nice.
So yeah,
Cool.
those are all my pretty much those are all my arsenal tools. Yeah.
Okay.
Ironically enough, even though I went to Berklee, which is a music school for 4 years,
Hmm.
my first 4 years of my career for my day job at Universal required no creativity, required no ear for listening, and it
Smart
was
instinct.
stressful. It was stressful because when you work at a big company, it's often compartmentalized. Like it's hard to work in a royalty department, which I did, and transition to a creative A&R position and transition to a creative sync position. Everything's kind of separated, and yeah,
Hmm.
you can walk over there and chop it up,
Hmm.
but it's hard to break into. So from the beginning all the way to the end, my end goal was always, hey, get to a position where I could pitch music, get to the creative sync department,
Hmm.
and during that time there, interview, and these were all internal interviews. For some reason or another, it never worked out, and it was the biggest test for me because I'm like, I don't get it. You like y'all know I come to work every day. Y'all know I went to a school that trained my ear.
Hmm.
What's the deal? So from there, it's just about empowering yourself and realizing like, okay, you keep asking one person to do something and they keep kind of brushing you off. What's the next thing? And in this case, not one person. This is just an entire system.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
so the way I overcame that is and this is one of the most valuable things that I could tell your listeners,
Hmm.
do informational interviews with the people that work your dream jobs. And I can explain informational interviews for any of your listeners who might not.
Informational interviews. Okay, I like that. Go ahead.
Informational interviews. And all that is you hop in. For me, it was music supervisors because that was my dream job. And
Hmm.
maybe at some point it might still happen,
Hmm.
but it was like I literally hit up the music supervisor that did the show Atlanta, that currently does Euphoria.
Hmm.
The same person.
Hmm.
I hit her up and just basically asked her, hey, can I do an informational interview, kind of understand how you got your foot in the door and your journey from there until the point where at this time she was doing Atlanta. So now as her career is even went crazier. But I took this approach with her and other select people who worked the dream jobs I wanted. And you would honestly be surprised at how many people said, hey, sure, I'm down to meet for coffee, or hey, I can't meet for coffee, but I got 10 to 15 minutes to hop on the phone.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
it's you take those informational interviews and come with the right questions, you'd be surprised at what might happen.
Wow.
Even if they don't offer you a job, they might point you in the direction of you should do this next.
Hmm.
Or hey, I have another friend who you should also speak to. And pretty much that first informational interview led me to a course at UCLA. It's an extension course, an evening course for music supervision.
Really?
And
Huh.
yes, and I ended up there. It was a music supervisor teaching the course who just did the Wu-Tang documentary. Oh, he did Silicon Valley, if you're
Yeah,
familiar with
yeah.
that show.
HBO. Uh-huh.
And so yeah, I just tried to kill it as much as possible
How
in the
long did that last?
class.
How long did that last?
This was about a 3 month course,
Oh, okay.
October to December. I
That
know
is
how music
incredibly short.
supervision works. I leveraged that with still the title I had, and then I was able to do outside interviews. And once I started doing outside interviews and letting people know, like, hey, yes, I might not have that hands-on experience, but I'm hungry enough to go out and take this class. I'm hungry enough to learn how to do this and learn how to do that works. And I still know the nuts and bolts, even though I don't know the creative, I know the nuts and bolts.
Hmm.
And so that's pretty much what led me to my first music pitching gig at another big music publisher. And from there, the ball just kept rolling. But that's for sure the biggest uh, obstacle I've had career wise is just going from straight data, straight royalties, even TV film clearance. Like, believe it or not, even if you have a job that's clearing music for TV and television, it's still hard to make that jump to getting paid to pitch for music. It's almost like a line. Well, my first ever sync happened within, I think, the first couple months of working my first creative sync job. So that was with a Hallmark film called A Summer Romance.
Okay.
I got that. So always that first one. And the funniest thing about it is it was a country song. They asked for a country song. And they were like, hey, we need a country song that would be played at a barbecue, fun vibes. And man, that's the last genre I have listened to of all time. But even still, thanks to, once again, knowing the nuts and bolts, knowing that, hey, major chords equals fun. Hey, a tempo of, 80 or above equals fun. Adding all that stuff together, even though I don't really listen to country like that, I know that's a vibe. Mm-hmm. And I would say one of my most recent sync placements, it hasn't aired quite yet, so I can't disclose the song, but it's for ABC for Life episode 6. That'll be coming soon. And I'm so excited to
Congrats,
see.
man. Congrats.
Thank you. I'm excited to see this, show that I'm actively watching now, to see that, I can sit with my lady, and I know my family's going to be in Virginia looking, and yeah, I'm just excited to see a song from an artist that signed to me literally December of last year have a placement within this show that we're all a fan of anyway.
Nice. Might be on either side, right? So they might be someone who wants to become the next Rashad, or they might want to become the next person who's scoring for Atlanta, right? Who's actually doing the music. So in each of those situations, is being classically trained or going up with that level of playing and that you can, of musical prowess, is it necessary?
Yes, I would say that it's important to know an instrument through and through. If you can know at least some level of music theory, that's going to be helpful. And yeah, I would just say it's always going to give you a leg up on the next person that's interviewing for the job you want. If it's a music-related job, if you actually have some level of thoroughness to the art of music, and not only that, you're not just one-dimensional in the sense of you only do jazz music, you only do classical music, you only like hip-hop. We live in a world where, hey, you have to be multi-dimensional in what you do because the next person is. So it's very important, and yeah, if you want that leg up, please learn an instrument through and through. You don't gotta pay over 6 figures to be in college debt to do it. Right. But at the same time, between the era, the informational age, where you can go to YouTube and learn an instrument, you can go to I think Full Sail is a little bit friendlier as far as like session goes. Like you can definitely go that route, and all it's going to do is give you all the tools you need to get to where you need to get to. It's worth investing in yourself.
And when you're trying to, because you mentioned there's some writers and such that you've signed versus ones you work with outside of your company of Madden, the ones that you sign, what are you looking for? Like, what's the decision process when you guys say you want to sign someone? Are you looking at their portfolio? Are you looking at the diversity of their work or their work ethic, or just they got that one hot kind of sound? What is it?
Sure. So for us, it's a few things, and you definitely name most of them. Work ethic is one. We want someone who has a dope work ethic, who's willing to work now, but also by the time they have come to us, their catalog is somewhat deep. It's very rare that we've signed someone who only has a couple hot songs or just released one project. Now, we want someone who's been doing it for a minute, who's seasoned, and also someone who who is either multi-talented or has that right combination of a team around them to where we can hit them up and they can get us what we need to send off within a few hours or within that same day. Like we just want everything to be streamlined, fast, and efficient.
Right.
So if you're a hit the if you're a hit the ground running artist, or you and your team are a hit the ground running team, like and oh my goodness, if you can follow instructions, that's great, because it's oftentimes, by us working with programs who are on national TV,
Right.
we can't songs that don't have clean lyrics, and I can't tell you how many times we still get songs that are explicit, and then okay, so, and even so, that's cool. But if we come back to you and say, hey, they're interested in the song, they want to start using it for a spotting session to see if it works, but they need the clean version. If you can't get that back to us quick after we've already let you know we need clean versions, then it's like a hiccup in our operation.
Right.
It's at the point it's making us as a brand look like we're not efficient. So
Got it.
So yeah, we definitely look for who can follow instructions, who's thorough, and I'm about to say the biggest thing of all, who has someone on their team that can mix, because we need fully crisp mixed tracks when we send off. We can't send off stuff that it sounds fuzzy. If you play it on your laptop speakers and then you play it in your car, it's off. It doesn't sound the same across different forms of devices.
Right.
If it sounds like,
it's got to be consistent across all mediums. Right.
Exactly. You got to mix it to where when you play it off your phone speakers and you play it in headphones, it still slaps. And that's very important. And I hope your producers who are listening to this, your songwriters who listen to this, I hope if they take anything from that, they need to know that just as good as you sing, just as good as you actually make a drum pattern, you got to be able to mix that good, or have someone on your team to mix that good.
Which is what a producer is anyway. It's the person who delivers the final product. So yeah, that makes sense. Do you actually sign songwriters, someone who doesn't really do the background? Maybe they just write really crazy songs. Do you do that as well, or are you only taking finished masters or pieces of work?
We prefer to just take finished pieces of work.
Okay.
So that being said, because we primarily, the opportunities that we have come from TV shows, more than the advertising, more than the video games, more than the films. We aim for everything, but at the end of the day, we're mostly getting TV show spots. And with those, it's very rare that they say, hey, we just want a hot beat. It's always like, hey, we need a song, and the lyrical theme needs to be X, Y, and Z. The lyrical theme needs to be saying goodbye. So it's situations where we need full songs, and we sign producers, songwriters, and full-on artists. The thing is what we ask of them. And when we're asking to these full songs, that producer might only own 30% of the song,
right,
or 50% of the song.
Yeah, I was getting
that songwriter. They might own a piece of the song, but that's totally fine. In that kind of situation, okay, we'll rep that song for this opportunity, but remember, this opportunity is for $2,000. So I need you to make sure that everyone else involved is okay with that rate, because we got to, even though I'm repping your side, we got to clear it for like everyone involved on that track. Everyone involved has to be aware of like, oh, okay, Madden Flow is pitching my song for this TV scene on episode this. And yeah, so it's not, I want to say maybe the trickiest thing might be is that, okay, now there are 4 other people on the track, and these other people are managers, or the other people on the track might be signed to a bigger publishing company.
Oh,
that's where it gets kind of tricky in the sense of, okay, this is a lower budget track. We have to make sure that that publisher checks off on letting their artists let that song go for that rate. And also, Madden Flow gets a commission off of the upfront fee. So we have to make sure that not only are they okay with that, but they're okay with the amount of commission that we're taking. I can't even fathom how many actual briefs are possibly floating in the air right now. I can't fathom, because it's kind of like you said, back in the day, you had 60 channels on TV, correct?
If that.
Now you have about 10 to 20 streaming No, you have about maybe 5 to 10 streaming services. Because you got Hulu, Amazon, Quibi that's coming out. It's just streaming services, and then each streaming service has what, maybe 20 to 50 shows that they're probably working on.
Oh yeah.
And so you have that, and then you still have your networks. You
Yep.
still have networks with more than triple the channels they used to have.
Right.
So that being said, there's always going to be briefs. There's always going to be opportunities to get music into a scene. It falls down to who's on your team and what relationships they have with these networks. And that's it definitely boils down to relationships. As long as you have someone on your team who's in well with the decision makers of what music goes where, then your music's always going to be getting tossed up for an opportunity. I went from working at a job that I felt indifferent about but was grateful for to literally pitching music from my favorite super producer, pitching his music for different TV stuff. And all that's because I took advice from the greats that worked the job that I wanted as a dream job at that time. I feel like your viewers, like, if they really take that advice and really say, I'm gonna test that theory, I'm gonna test them out, they not gonna be mad. And then try to actually figure out what's going on in my city, what panels are happening, what informative stuff is happening. Pull up, and then from there figure out who's working your dream job. And once you figure that out, if you can't sit down with them, try to at least get an email conversation going with them that leads to a phone call.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Give us one little piece of advice for the listeners, whether it's songwriters, they want to work for a label, and in a business in any kind of way. Give me a piece of advice that you would say to kind of take with them.
Don't stay at home.
Right.
And what I mean by that is, as long as you're young and you have the energy, be out and be social. Be at not necessarily a club per se, but maybe wherever there's live music, hang there. I think Cam Newton has a spot actually in Atlanta where there's like live music on like a weekly basis. But be there, mix and mingle with the musicians, and don't necessarily go into conversations on an opportunistic kind of vibe, because people realize you're only talking to them because you want something. But more so, just have a conversation that admits that you're cool. Have a conversation that admits your personality. And from there, just make people laugh and make them eventually say, yo, what does this dude do? Like, or what does she do?
Right.
Like having fun with you, but yo, what do you do? Right. And then from there, that's your end. As long as you are dope or getting dope at what you do, hey, yeah, I make beats. Oh, hey, I sing. And if they already enjoy your company just as a human being, right, then naturally, let's go back to the studio. Let's go back to the live music. Say you're at Cam Newton's venue or whatever, and then you're talking to the musician. 9 times out of 10, the musician's going to be like, yo, well, we was planning on going to the studio right after this. You come through. Or hey, like, I'm working on a session. How about I send you this session, lay down your vocals, lay down a drum pattern, send it back to me. You're going to get an opportunity. But guess what? None of it's going to happen if you're chilling in watching Netflix right now. And then, just from there, just emit the positivity, let your light kind of shine, and just attract people to your personality.
I love it. Excellent advice, man. So good luck to you, brother. We will talk to you soon, man. And thanks a lot, man.
Sounds good. Appreciate you, bro.
Have a good one.